Shiva Shivaya. So in Chhadogya Upanishad, last chapter, where Bhagavan goes deeper into the realization of self and the analysis of self, which is the most difficult part in Vedanta to explain. Rather, it is not possible to explain. It is ultimately proved that what is the self or what is Brahman is beyond words, actions, and imaginations. But taking us through various inferences, various examples, various insights, he creates an imaginary world in us, and through that imaginary world, he makes us overlook on ourselves from a distance, away from this universe, so that we can see the universe and the self, we call as self, in those explanations as he has given, ultimately deriving to one and identifying the fields of activities, actions, karmas, karma balas, janana, marana, mrityu, and after marana, after death, results of realization, results of misunderstanding of the self, how the actions are created, how the karmas and karma balas are created, how the misconception can be removed with absolute and firm practices through the directions, guidance, and diksha, blessings, initiation by the jnanis or jnanam, Brahman, again representation of Brahman. One is able to reach the absoluteness and can dissolve oneself into that, is what he explains in this chapter. This realization is a very intensive subject. Normally it is not understood by the common man with association of the worldly, bodily and objective experiencing. But with an intention and with, as I said, by the guidance, initiation and teachings of the embodiment of jnanam, it has been proved it is possible. Upanishad is one thing they are not working on. It's unlike any other books, any other commitments, any other statements by many in this universe. These are proven facts. If someone else is writing on Upanishad, there can be his imaginations put in there. But Upanishad, Veda itself, the Vedic science, the Vedanta. This is nothing but Veda. But it is known as Vedanta because the gist of the end of the Veda, what we reach by going through the Veda is what, through the Upanishadic studies, he has explained is why it is very difficult to absorb, even though we feel we are able to understand that. Many of them we are unable to grasp it because of our association with our body and mind. Any other books, as I said, they are all based on many of their own intelligentsia has been incorporated in that, their own imaginations, their individual experiences have been mixed with that. And as I always said, even an iota of untruth is mixed with the truth. It is adulterated. And the true facet of the truth cannot be identified. Even a small drop of untruth in that, the true facet of truth cannot be identified. In the same way, in Upanishad also, in Vedas and Upanishads, because they are the great, as I told you, Shrutis, if anybody would like to incorporate something along with that, it will be a mismatch and it will be adulterated. It won't be Upanishad. So a jnani or a tapasvi or the jnanam who is responsible for transmitting this knowledge or this imparting this knowledge to the true disciples who are, that's why lots of restrictions, we have undergone lot of things, no? Lots of discipline and restrictions has been imposed both on the disciple as well as the guru. If those disciplines are not followed, this cannot be perceived. We may wonder why, if I drink a glass of water, do you think I won't understand Upanishad? That has nothing to do with understanding, is what we may be thinking. But that glass of water incorporated against the discipline of the prescription provided by the Upanishad will definitely create an impedance of perception through when the jnanam is imparted. Jnanam cannot be understood. It is not possible. This has been explained various times, number of times. And Upanishad also explains many things repeatedly, and it has been specified in Upanishad that a teacher has to, or a preceptor has to repeat certain things number of times for the benefit of the disciple, to remind himself at every point of time and make his corrections of his path if he is going away from that. Has been specified. So you will find many of them are repetitions. These repetitions in different ways, even though they are repetitions, you will find each repetition has got its own significance. Yes. It is like that. Suppose you are walking with a child on the road. You say, be careful, don't step on that. Maybe a word you will be repeating about 10 times by the time you reach the house. Alright? Be careful, don't step on that. But When you repeat the second time, it is not the same circumstance and the same evidence and same situation that you are telling not to step on. First time you told him not to step on situation 1. Second time you are telling him not to step on situation 2. And 10th time you are telling him not to step on situation 10. Each repetition is different, even though it appears to be repetition, it's not repetition. Second time you are not telling him not to step on the first, because that is already finished. I hope you understand the importance of it. This is how it is being explained in this. Many people are trying in many ways to explain Vedic science and Vedanta by many actions, by many activities, in various ways. Each appears to be right, each appears to be impressive, because the one who is perceiving it, one who is receiving it, doesn't know which is the truth, what is the truth. Which one is right? So one has to have an intense study of it. It is not a superficial few minutes or few days or few years of practice. That is what is required. It's a constant to be in that. This facilitating of this chance has to be implanted in you. Then only you will be in a position to be stable in that. When you sit in a boat, which is small, first you take your time to adjust. It will move this way, that way. And once you know this is the position, you should be able to sit in the same position so that the boat no more moves. Oscillates. That's the practice of Upanishadic studies. It's not interesting for people who are wanting to the objective and external experiences and would like to live in externalities with the body consciousness, because it is against their wishes. But this will be only interesting to those who are really into the depths of the reality, depths of the truth. I happened to see, for me it was very strange. I have sent to all of you today a music concert repeated from the Rig Veda, the Sukta, one Sukta, which is identifying the nothingness, the nothingness being the being, not being, non-being to the being. This in the music form he is expressing. That's the way his way of perception of the knowledge of the Upanishad, of the Jnana. What's the non-being, you see? And what is a being? That there is nothing beyond sky, there is nothing beyond this, there is nothing, no, none. Well, it is the Rig Veda shlokas. So each one is trying his, but how can you understand it? How many will understand it and how many? But he understood it that way. He wanted to express it that way. Nothing wrong. Absolutely right. So I was wondering, see, each one is trying to understand it. You see, that itself is a great thing. That musician, that singer, those musicians very well presented that. Some of you must have seen it. So very beautifully done, no doubt about it. I appreciate their their intention of it. That how through the Shabda Taranga it can be transmitted, but it is very difficult. Suppose that He is sure what is he transmitting. He is sure what is he transmitting. But a man who doesn't know anything about music, he doesn't understand what is he playing. Unless it is explained and then subtitled, we won't be able to understand what is he playing. We'll say that some sound. So, this is what happens. Why? That will be some sound so long I am not connected with it. So long I have the desires of fulfillment of the externalities. Other than that, I will not be able to understand it. The day we understand it, probably some of the musicians also do not understand it. He just plays the instrument, that's all. But the man who has created this idea, he understood it. He wanted to transmit it through the music to the others, because that is his way of expression. So if you get a chance, it's already with you. You can listen to it so you understand the seriousness of what had been thinking on that. Why did he make that? This was done on 15th of May in Amsterdam. It was played in a big hall in presence of many people. On 15th of May in Amsterdam by a group of musicians. In 2015, this year, very late. He presented it, his way of presentation of that sukta from Rig Veda. Small, about 15 minutes, about 5-10 minutes. That's all. But you know what is that sukta? It's volumes actually. It is volumes. If you start explaining it in words, it is volumes that you have to explain that sukta. But it is played because Vedas, the script is, they are all shrutis and they are all, as I told you, they are sutras. It's why they are so small. But what I am trying to tell you is that unless that we really want it, we really need it, and we are really into it, it will be a superfluous. You make somebody else to listen to that. Nothing. Even I don't understand what that lady was singing, because it's so much of that alap is there. Words are not at all clear. Because subtitles were there, I could understand that. Yeah. Because I am not a musician. I don't have any, I have not studied. My rhythm and my system cannot understand the words spoken through that music to me, so I will not be able to understand. If I know that, then only I am interested. But unless I know it, I cannot understand it. So one has to know it. See, that's why I said there has to be knowledge to perceive knowledge. Any Mudha Atma cannot learn knowledge, cannot understand it. It is not possible. It has to come through process of the experimenting and experiencing through the Punyatmas, and have to undergo the absolute discipline, penance. That's why I always say that Samarpana Bhava has to come. Unless that is there, this will not be possible. Yes. Anyway, so this is, I just saw that music, so it inspired me to speak to you on that. Once you listen that based on my talk, probably you will be able to little more elaborate what I spoke, and you will be able to make up something. Bhagavan in the fourth section, fourth shloka of the first section of 8th chapter. Tam chedrabruyasmim ashvedidam brahmapure sarvam samahitam sarvaniva bhutani sarve jagamaya dejara yapnoti pratyasavevaki tato tishishyata iti tam ched bruyar asmin sastedidam. Should they say to him, Bruyar, should they say to him, if all this, as also all beings and all desires, is included in the city of the Brahman, then when the reptitude take possession of it all, when it becomes destroyed, what can survive apart from it? It's a beautiful shloka. They tried to churn the idea of the Atman. If the Atma is living, where is it living? If there is an Atma, what is that Atma? If it is in this Sharira, where is it in the Sharira? Are you able to see that? We are not able to see it. Are you able to experience it? You are not able to experience it. Are you able to perceive the idea of Atman? Yes, we are able to perceive the idea of Atman. If that Atman is there in you, what happens after you die? Is it available only when the body is there? After death, what happens to that? That also is explained. After death, where it goes and what happens? And during the process of living, what is the function of it? Everyone has to have some function, not simply something is there. In this subject, he is churning it up and down, in and out, various ways, various methods, left and right. Tries to take out the pulp of it somewhere. See, when you take out a pulp from something, it's not only in one direction you take. Put it the other way around, take it. So that the maximum you can extract, whichever way you can, somebody will press it with their hands. And somebody will tamp it, somebody will hammer it, somebody will squeeze it, somebody will filter it and all that. Same way. He is also trying to take out the complete gist of it from there. But more or less complete, we can say. So he said, Tam Sat Bruyad. So the Guru mentions that Asminna Chedidam Brahmapure. The Guru says it is inside the heart. Is all the mystery of the things. We know what is heart. Every object of one's desire is inside one's own heart. In fact, everything is inside. One side we say everything is inside, it is not outside. When we say it is inside, that means it's not outside. It's understood. Whatever longs for, it contained within oneself. Where is this longing coming from? Anything for that matter. The whole life, living. I want to live, I want to die, I want to do this, I want to do that. Desires and longingness. Yes. Longingness and desires are more or less same only. But one is that desire which is there already existing. Longing is that, one is striving for it. The longingness for that. Striving for it. A question is raised here from the point of view of a student looked by the disciple. When he looks at it, how does he look at it? When the body gets old, that's why I said here, when the body gets old and finally overcome by death. What happens to this heart, what you're talking about? Does it also disappear with the death? How can that which is capable of destruction by death contain the mysteries of creation? Is what the question of disciple. Absolutely right. Will it also die? If it is dying, how is it possible that it contains all the secrets of the life and creation? Those mysteries. In other words, what is the use of knowing about it? That which destroys itself in the time of death. Is there any use of knowing about it? This is not mentioned here, but this is the question probably the Guru thought they should ask. According to me, it's not here. Why were they I would ask them? Why didn't you ask this question? Then what is the use of learning about this which dies after along with the Sharira? Because in our life, why this question came to me to ask you? Because in our life, we are learning only about those which will die along with the body. What else are you learning? Is why I asked this, prompted this question. What is the use of learning about something which will die along with the body? So, the answer is implied in the question itself. If that is the case, what is the use of all these learnings what you are doing which will die along with your body? Waste? Is it not? If that is not right, this is also not right. Absolutely a waste. So this doubt is immediately removed by the following mantras. Sabruyat. Bhagavan explained. Solution, he says, is that Sabruyannasya jaseta jiryati navadhena sintyada edastasyam brahma purasmagatmigatma samahita eva atma bhagadatpatma vijaro vimrutyur vishoko vijirdha vijitastosya vipasa satyakamaha satyasankalpo yada hyeve praja anya vishanti yada anushatam yam yamantam abhigama bhavanti yam janavadam ham kshetra bhagam te tamevopa jivanti is the shloka. What does it mean? He says, it's a long shloka. He says, this heart that the Upanishad is speaking, Sabruyat, that what has been spoken about, does not get destroyed, old, or get destroyed along with the body. It is a city of gods. How can it be destroyed? For it is not a city of brick and mortar. It's not like a city that is built by the man. It's a eternal, abode of the eternal objective and eternal aspirations. It's not the objects of one's desire or aspiration are contained here, and they shall be available for experience the moment they are evoked in the proper manner. This little thing we call the heart is nothing that is mortal or physical. It is Atman. This heart, what we are talking about, is the Atman. What we call the Atman is the same as we refer to here as the heart. It's free from every kind of affliction or sorrow of limitations. It is unaging, for it has no age. It is timeless being, and therefore it has no destruction. It sees no death, it sees no sorrow. It is self-existent by its own pristine magnificence. It has no hunger, it has no thirst. It asks for nothing, it is self-sufficient in its own self. Whatever it will is capable of being materialized at one stroke. This is the will that is pure in the character, uncontaminated by any kind of falsehood which is of the nature of externality. The nearer we go to the heart, the more is the strength of our will, and more is our capacity to manifest it and materialize it in our practical life. I just read it because I wanted you to know what he means about the Atma. That means which contains everything, which has got everything. So there is a question that we understand. When the Atma has got everything, why it is not being imposed in the Sharira or Mana? Why then all these play around? That's why he said in the shloka, one is known as Satyakama, another is known as Satya Sankalpa. In the shloka he says that one is Satyakama evam Satya Sankalpo yatha heveha. One is Satyakama, another is Satya Sankalpa. The Satyakama is the one which is the truth. Satya Sankalpa is the one is doing a Sankalpa, considers it as a Satya. Mind decides something as if it is Satya. But what is Satya? The mind does not realize it. Satyakama and Satya Sankalpa. The more the limited will of the individual human being is drawn from the center of the heart away, the more does it get diluted by the contamination with the evil of the externalities. Each and every word is important. The more it is contaminated by the association with the externalities, the more is that impossibility of achieving success in the world. And the greater is the difficulty of contacting the objects of one's desire. How does this happen? He says that the more we come away from the center of the heart, that which comes away from the center of the heart here means from the Atman. The word is used here as heart. Hridyam, that's why he has used heart. The literal translation of Hridaya he has mentioned. Hridyate Hridaya, that which is explained, which has got an action, is called Hridyam. So Hridayam, that has been told. So Hridayam in this one is heart, which is known as actually Atman only. Yes. So that Atman, when it comes in contact with the externalities, We say everything is internal, there is nothing external. What do we mean by the externalities and internalities? The internal and the external, we have explained it earlier also, subject and object. Same thing. Subject and object. But we have object. We are seeing objects. We are experiencing objects. When the subject is creating this object, when subject has derived an object, and then we wanted to enjoy that object. We want to derive results out of the object. And after results are received, we want to experiment it and experience it, and then we would like to have salvation through the objective experience of the object. How is it possible? It's not possible. How does one get distracted from that? It is same. You just imagine. When he says that we are getting distracted, distanced from the Atman. Having the mind, and we have already explained about the constitution, the mind and intellect and indriyas and all that. When they have that independence and independency, I would like to put an example like this. When we are very close to an object, when we are very close to something or someone in our life, very close, we know everything about that person or about that object. We have been experiencing. We say that, we were living together practically. We were eating from one plate. We were sleeping in one bed. At one point of time, the life takes them different courses. They get separated, whether it is a person or the object gets separated. After some time, the person is gone from your memory. Away from that. How does the person has gone from your memory? Has the person gone from the memory? Or you have come out of the person? You have come out of the person's memories, is it not? He has not gone out of you. You have come out of remembering about him, so you came out. Right? So you forgot about him. At a point of time when we meet again, at a point of time, oh my God, it's so many years. What was the impression? The impression was the same as you have seen him last. You would not think him as he is at present, or that object at present. You would see that, that I expected you to be, even though he has also changed. I expected to be seeing like that. But I see you totally different. You are totally different. What we say first thing is that you look so different. Whereas we are looking different. That we have never thought. Is it not? Same way. You understood now? Even though you are there, he is there, his memories are there, his experiences are there. Because you have distanced away from him, you forgot about him, and your experiences and expectations and experiences and behavioral pattern and your memories and other things are according to that what you are associated now. That has become a past which has got no importance at all. Absolutely no. It has no function in our life at all, day-to-day life. And your functions are only based on the experiences being undergone at that moment, that's all. Your enjoyment and pleasure and your relationship and values are only based on at this moment's experience. when that situation changes, that experience, that moment, one moment before, whatever was there, that has no importance. That has become, it has been kept away. Unless you are reminded of that, you will not be able to understand the importance of it again. The same way, you have distance from the Atma. You understood now? Is it possible or not? How we may think that, how is it possible that I can distance away from my own Atma? How did you come out of your own experience of that person and that incident? How did you come out? How did you come out of his association or that object's association for so many years? Your mother lived with you for 50 years. Father lived with you 50 years. Father died in 1 year's time, except on the day of Shraddha. Everything is forgotten. All association, practices and dependency and teachings, learnings and whatever it is, everything is forgotten within, that's all, within a small time, is it not? Disassociated. How? You have disassociated yourself with those experiences. Alright? And you created new experiences to suit your convenience. Is it because that you have adopted with a new experience that you have associated with now, the previous is forgotten? Or is it because of the previous is forgotten, you are associated with the new experience? Which one? Is it because that you have disassociated from the past experience that you have forgotten about X? Or is it because that you are experiencing the present at this moment that you have forgotten about the past?
Second. Second.
That's right. Since you have associated with the present that you have forgotten the past is there. You are not associated with that, that's all. It's not that it's not there. So what happened? Since you have come out of your own Atma, you are away from the experience of Atma. Alright? Is it clear? No more a puzzle. Otherwise you ask somebody, how can I come out of my own Atma? How did you come out of small thing? Look at it, you will know. He is not telling something new, because which you are doing every day, he is telling that. You have come out of your own Atma. If you can come out of your own experiences created by your own self, that which is existing internally, which is existing for ever, you have come out of it, so you have forgotten about it. How many of us think about sky? Even though the sky is there. How many of us think about the world, the universe? In our houses we see that when you are doing something, when you commit some mistakes, parents will say that. Have you forgotten yourself that you are from this family, from this parents? Have you forgotten yourself that you are so and so? Somebody in a position, a prime minister or a president, he commits something wrong. Have you forgotten your own position that you have committed this? You are not supposed to commit certain things. You being so and so, you are not supposed to commit something. You being so and so, you are not supposed to commit something. How did you do it? He did it because. He said, how did you forget it? He himself might be saying, I forgot my own position. I committed a mistake. Did he forget his own position? No. He did not forget his own position. He got associated into the present activity, is how the past activity has been forgotten. That which is existing has been forgotten. That which where he is sitting has been forgotten. I am a Raja. I'm not telling Prime Minister, otherwise somebody will get annoyed. I am a Raja. I'm supposed to protect the Praja. Instead, the Raja misbehaved of creating atrocities and animalities to the Praja. We say that he's a cruel one. He forgot his position, the man who is supposed to protect him. He himself has destroyed. Why? Does he not know? He knows. But what happened to him? Why did he do that? It's because he associated himself with the present activity which was not desired. Therefore, he disassociated with his past, which is supposed to be the existence. You have disassociated yourself from you, and you are behaving like this today because you are associated with your present activities. So you have forgotten you, not about you, you. I'm emphasizing. Is what in short it is. Am I clear? How do you realize the Atman? Had you been with you, you would not have forgotten it. That's why he said, when the human being drawn out of the center of the heart, he said. When he was drawn out from there. What was the reason why he has come out? When he was standing there, when he was standing on the bank of the river, he saw something floating in the river, so he jumped into the river. Ultimately, when he saw that it was only a paper packet where pakoras were wrapped at one point of time. It was only empty. The pakoras were eaten by somebody. It was only empty. He jumped into to pick up that. Now he picks up that and finds it's nothing and trying to come back to the bank. Drawing away from the center of the heart. Drawn away from even though jokingly said, this is exactly what happens. To get an empty pack of paper floating in the river, the person jumps from the bank where he is standing stable without any problem, seeing everything in the river, seeing everything in the bank, all that he left, jumped into the river, taking all the troubles only to see an empty packet and experience the empty packet. Whereas had he been standing on the bank, he would have been experiencing the bank, he would have been experiencing the river, he would have experiencing the flow of river and all the activities, including the empty flat packet floating. Is it clear? Is it not that? Is it not that? Am I right? In simple languages, I just project it. It's very easy to understand then. Yes. Instead of being in Atma, how we are drawn? We are drawn looking at that empty false packet, which once upon a time used by somebody and threw it. It's a waste. What? This experience of externalities of life, what is externality? The externality is that the empty packet is known as the externality. The internality is that you standing in the bank and have the consciousness to observe it and understand it. Instead of that, immediately for a fraction of a second, having looked at something which is empty, instead of trying to analyze it, what happened? You wanted to possess it. That is why he has told one is desire, another is in the previous sloka, he said one is desire, another is I said that, no? That both are looking same. One is desire, another is longingness, I said. Desire, up to that it is there with you, is okay. There is something floating on the river. What is it? An inquisitiveness, a desire to know. Well, fine, standing in the bank, having my consciousness, I am firm on the ground, I can see everything, I can analyze it. Oh, it hit against that rock and it's broken. It's a packet. Desire is completed. Next part. The moment I saw longingness, I want to have it and experience it. Without thinking the next moment what is going to happen, jumped into the river and picked it up. Possessed it, only to find that it's empty and waste. Any possession is not necessary because the desire created in the mind is only inquisitiveness to know it. You have all the liberties to know it. God has never said, don't know about it. You have all the liberties to know about it, but no longingness towards that. What is that? That's why I said, asakti should not be there. It's asakti. Asakti is longingness. Without that, I cannot survive. I have to experience it. Is it necessary to experience that waste packet which is flowing on the river? You can experience it from outside, you can understand it, analyze it, it's waste, that's enough. You don't have to hold it in the hand and crush it and say it is a waste. Is what called, because I thought this explanation is necessary because I wanted to explain it. Why? Because it was difficult to person to understand that an individual human being is drawn out of the center of the heart, the more does it get diluted by contamination with the evil of externality. If I read the sentence, I think it's very difficult for normal people to understand it. Why normal people? Many people. What is that evil? And he said, the contamination with it, the diluted by the contamination, by the evil of the externalities. The evil here is nothing, not what we're thinking is wrong. Evil is that which is not truth is evil, that's all. That which is not truth, which is of no use for your life, which is no use for your living, which is no use for your fulfillment of desire, that's not fulfillment of desire, which is of no use of it, is called evil. And that evil can only be there in externalities. Evil cannot be inside. Because evil is only in the imagination. Evil is only in the outside you. That means the thoughts and the creation, karma balas and things like that. The evil is only there. So you are trying to get attracted to that evil. The more you distance away from yourself and trying to get contaminated with that imaginary field, trying to possess it, the more and more you get diluted into the contamination of the evil. See, he is not telling you are getting diluted into the evil. No, you are getting diluted into the contamination of the evil. What does it mean? The contamination is that which is known as the knowledge, the wrong knowledge, that means ignorance about the object is called contamination. The ignorance about something is known as contamination. So you are getting diluted into the ignorance, not to the object. Because you cannot get diluted into the object. You cannot get diluted into that empty packet which was floating in the river, but you can only say that, oh, it was a false thing. Where have you got diluted into? You got diluted into the foolish idea of thinking, standing in the bank and thinking that is something. I want to experience it. What is that? Ignorance is called the contamination. So you got diluted into the contamination of the evil of externality. Is it clear now? Everybody's position is clear. Position of externality, position of contamination, position of the desire, eternity, and dilution of contamination. You have diluted into the ignorance. What is the dilution? Dilution is that from all-knowing consciousness, who is standing on the back? All-knowing consciousness. He can see everything. From all-knowing consciousness, only because within a fraction of a second he got attracted to that floating unknown thing, object, he wanted to possess it, is a desire and longingness, and because of the longingness he jumped into the river, and only to find that it is an empty packet, that ignorance of knowledge that was there in you, thinking that it is something, and to possess it and to become like that, was the ignorance. So you got diluted into the ignorance, and you have to now swim across the river. In that, so many experiences can happen. Now this is called the action and reaction, and this is called the birth and the rebirth. That is why, you remember, we have told earlier, karma mukti. Execute a karma without thinking, without knowing, without assigning that it is a karma. When you become the owner of the karma, you become the enjoyer of the karma also. Now in this case, let me explain from this case only, so you will get a clear idea of that. You wanted to know about the packet, is nothing wrong, it's knowledge. You have the great consciousness pervaded in you. With that you could know easily. But what happened? Even though you are having all the consciousness, there was a distraction for a moment by a floating unknown thing. So you had a desire, up to that it is okay. And suddenly, you get the longingness of it. When you got the longingness of it, you got involved into a karma. And the longingness means you got involved into a karma. When you got involved into a karma, naturally it has to be executed. Whenever a birth of the karma takes place, that means what happened? The packet was floating. You could have known about the packet by standing there with all consciousness. Where you are standing is all consciousness. From that you can know. But what happened? Because it is an unknown floating thing, you thought it is unknown. You never made a trial of knowing it before getting the longingness, Because it is floating and going, you wanted to catch it before it flows away. So what happened? You got a longingness. You did not have patience to understand it, but you had impatience to jump into the longingness of it. When you had the impatience of jumping into the longingness of it, it creates an action owned by you. Now you have owned the action. Who wanted to know? You. Now you say, I want to know. Had you been standing on the bank and just observing something is floating, okay, we will find out what it is, what can float. What can float? That which has no density. What is looking like? It is looking like a paper. If it is a paper and if it is floating, that means the paper is not having anything heavy in it. So it's only a paper. This you could have understood. Then what happened? Fulfillment of desire has happened. Desire has been dissolved in the consciousness. Now what happened? The desire has the longingness always. So you immediately created a spark on the longingness, when you created a sparking on the longingness of possession of that, that means you wanted to have it. You have created yourself as an by that what all happened? By a fraction of a second, knowing that from the desire, transmitting you from the desire to longingness, what all happens? What all happens? The moment you thought that, what happens? Even though you are in the consciousness, even though you are in the part of the universe, even though you are a part of universe of all pervading, all knowing thing, you suddenly decided to be separate from the consciousness, separate from the universe, and you have become an individual, and you wanted to have possessed the knowledge of that particular object which is floating, the knowledge of that as an individual, and possess the knowledge to that of that to this individual, is the cause why you had longingness towards it. By the way of longingness, this all happened in you in a fraction of a second. The detachment from the Atma has already taken place the moment longingness have come. Detached, that's why I said detached from the universe. A part which was a part of universe suddenly thought, I am wanting to know this, has become separate from the universe. It has become an individual. Already it has become small. It has become an individual, and that individual would like to experience that because he thought that is a greater knowledge. This all happened in a fraction of a second. Why? Because he did not utilize the facility of sticking to and staying back with the universe, with the consciousness, with the Prakriti, with the Jnanam, with the Purusha, with the Brahman. Staying in the Brahman would like to know it is not. So what happened? In that fraction of a second, what happened? He has become an individual. From that great unit, he has become a very small unit. Why? Because when the one who has got all the knowledges, when he falls down to know only about an empty packet flowing on the river, how he should be? Should he be so big? No. Should be very small only, no? He has become that small. That small, when he has become that small, he lost the capacity to identify it through the consciousness because he is already away from the consciousness. Now he cannot know that is an empty packet. Now he knows there is something which I want. That's all. The identity of empty packet was there when he was in the level of consciousness. The moment he wanted to know it, his longingness has come. He has come. The moment he has come, what happened? That object's shape has become an important object which I would prefer to, which I would want to possess it, then only I can survive. Now the object's color and shape and importance and everything has changed. Why? Because you are no more in the consciousness. Only longingness remained with you. So naturally, to fulfill that longingness, not the desire, to fulfill the longingness, one had to jump into it and took the paper packet, not realizing why do I want this paper packet. Now, having jumped into it, now that's yes, you have no more identity of empty paper packet. That was in the level of consciousness. Now you know you have attached yourself with an object which was important to you because you longed for it. When you longed for it, you got it. When you longed for it, you got it. Now it is very precious to you because your consciousness is not there to know it's an empty packet. It is precious to you, so now you are trying to bring that empty packet of paper, which can get dissolved in the water, disintegrated in the water anytime, trying to hold it and save it with all sorts of your struggles and strength and everything, holding in the fist, putting in the pocket, everywhere the water comes. Now holding it and trying to swim across Bhava Sagara. Only for what? To protect that paper. Do not know you are protecting only an empty paper, but you are. And with that, you try to swim. Somebody flows, somebody disintegrates, somebody again hits and again comes back, somebody repeats the number of janmas only to hold that empty paper packet. The man who is standing on the consciousness and looking at his colleague, looking at his friend, looking at his associate, why this person is doing this foolishness? It is an empty packet. He's shouting from there, hey, my God, my friend, my associate, it is an empty packet. Leave it. By holding it, you are unable to swim because your hands are tied up. You cannot swim properly. Leave it and swim. You may be able to hear him, you may not be able to hear him, but markada mushti of holding that packet, you will not leave it. That's markada mushti. Once I hold it, I will not leave it. My karma, it has become my karma and it has become my karma phala. How you have changed this into the karma? Have you got it now? How beautiful. Have you got the fact? Is it true now? Now you hear. Yes. This is what he means by this sentence of coming out of the center of the heart. More does it go diluted into the contamination of the evil. Contamination of the evil of the externalities. That is the externality. What is external? That is external. Is it externality? Now, that's a different thing. Now here, for explaining this, I call that as an externality. Here I have explained you with certain objects, paper packet, river, bank of river, consciousness, desire and longingness. These are the points which has to be noted. But here it's only for the example I have done. Yes. There is no paper packet. Now, what that means when I am talking all this, it's in the Dvaita. There is an externality and there is an internality. But when you go deeper, because you won't understand otherwise, or it will be difficult for you to understand, is why straight away we are not going into Advaita. So through Dvaita, it's okay. The whole Jivan, the whole life is we are spending on Dvaita. Bhagavan says nothing wrong. God is there and I am there, fine, Dvaita. No problem. Can live in Dvaita. But when you finish your living, at least identify the Dvaita is not that one, that is the Advaita, which is the truth. That is, both are the same. So through Dvaita, learning is much easier, is why I have also explained you, even though it's not a fact. I have also explained you through the Dvaita Siddhanta, that which is an object, which is an evil, and which is, that's an object, and connecting you with that object is evil, you diluting into the evil, you, the consciousness, coming out of the consciousness and getting entangled into the longingness. Clear? Now suppose I go into, I know you, it's perceiving it is very difficult. I go into Advaita Siddhanta. In Advaita Siddhanta, I am sitting and imagining there is an object. And I am trying to go to that object and derive the pleasure of it or happiness out of that, and attain the salvation and the Brahma Sakshatkaram through that imaginary object that I have created, is how the Advaita Siddhanta explains. This is exactly like that. In words you can understand it, but it's difficult to find. Actually what happened? He says the projection of the river, the packet, the floating, everything is imaginary. swapna. They're all, that's why there is no external, that's why ultimately it comes to no externalities. That's why in the beginning we said everything is inside the heart. Everything is inside the heart means everything is inside the Atma, Atman. If everything is inside the Atman, everything is inside the Brahman. If everything is inside the Brahman, this river and the empty packet and this evil and this contamination, that also is in the Brahman. Don't get confused. I am just trying to give you the Advaita Siddhanta. Now we go by the Advaita Siddhanta, is easier to understand. You stick to that. I am only expressing my views of Advaita Siddhanta, how it would be difficult for you to understand. I am only explaining how it would be difficult for you to understand. That being there, actually what happens is that it is like when you are going to sleep, you see a dream. And you, after waking up, trying to attain that dream, is that contamination into the evil objective. The dream is where is the dream? Where was the dream? That was inside you. When it was inside you, it was only a reflection of whatever your thoughts were. But when you wake up, you should understand that it is only a dream. I should be functioning based on that. Suppose a person who wakes up from the dream and saying that, no. See, on the eastern side of the house, on the other side, there is a snake there. Take rope, take that stick, and take the torchlight. Take all few people who are much stronger than you, so that you can catch the snake. Let us take that action and let us go to eastern side of the house. What happens? There is no snake. There is no snake. Now imagination is that, snake is there, objective, externality. Action that you have taken is the evil, that's ignorance. It's ignorance. And the more you got into the fear, more you got into the anxiety, more you spend your time, your waste of time. So what happened? You have created a karma of that. And after going there, you found there is nothing. So the other people made fun of you, or they have beaten you up. Karma bhala. Who created the karma? You created it. Of what you have created? Of the consciousness being attracted by the longingness created by the desire inside you and got attached to the objective experience through the contamination of the evil, and then you got contaminated of the externalities and you created it as a karma, and you created a karma value. What was it? What was it? A conscious man, when he woke up and said, what was it? Why did you all this? Because I saw a dream. After all, it was a dream. He says, who knows it is a dream? He says, after all, it was a dream. Why did you do it? Now you have done it. No way. Am I clear? How Advaita Siddhanta, what is Advaita Siddhanta and what is the Dvaitam? In this Dvaita, easier to understand. Okay, fine. We go through the Dvaita now, we are going through the Dvaita. But the truth is that also is an ignorance, is what ultimately. That's difficult to achieve now. But at least let us understand even the Dvaita, if we can understand that itself is good. That this Atma and the informations from the Atma, that knowledge from the Atma is not, we are asking now, why am I asked you a question earlier, that why this Atma did not inform the mind? What is to be done? At least if it is there inside the same place, sitting there. He is only a witness, he said, closing the eyes and sitting there. Atma is supposed to derive knowledge from the Atma. Mind is supposed to derive the knowledge from the Atma. How can he derive the knowledge from the Atma? As a dedicated, devoted disciples sitting in Upasana in front of the Guru with total concentration on the third eye, with absolute Upasak, as an absolute Upasak, gets perception of the knowledge imparted by the Guru through his third eye, is how the mind has to sit by the side of the Jnana, by the Atman, so that he can gain the absolute reflection of the Atma, absolutely the light, so that the mana will immediately function according to that. What happens in a great Maharshi or a Tapasvi or in a Bhagwan, the mind is absolutely a replica of the Atma. Nothing other than that. The reflection of the Atma, the reflector should be right. Yes. How can there be a difference if the Atma is closer to, my mind is also very close to Atma. See, there is not much of a difference. Is what we may be thinking. If your mind is closer to the Atma will project only that. The mana will project only the quality of the Atma. When you look into the mirror, what is seen? Exactly what you are. Mirror doesn't modify you. Mirror doesn't change you. Mirror doesn't improve you. Mirror doesn't beautify you. Mirror doesn't uglify you. So if the mana is closer to the Atma, how will Atma deny his acceptance of imparting of the knowledge to the mana? It's because going a mana we call it busybody, bodies poking the nose in unwanted affairs. Various proverbs are there in English, they have told. Mind is that, where it is not necessary, and will say, I am suffering. The more it gets contaminated by association with the externals, the more is the impossibility of achieving success in this world. Here success means not the career or earning money, living. Here the success is that. The success is the attainment of the Brahmajnanam, attainment of the Brahma Sakshatkaram, or that is, here the success is that. Not succeeding something, or not successful of something, or not successive of something. Greater is the difficulty of contacting the objects of one's. So, and then what happens? Yeah, impossibility of achieving the success in this world. And the greater is the difficulty of contacting the objects of one's desire. What do you understand from this? Not only that you will not achieve the success, but also greater is the difficulty of contacting the objects. Difficulty of contacting the objects of one's own desire. A little complicated, no? Now I go back. When you are standing on the river bank, what you had from the consciousness? A floating something was going on, so there was a desire to know. What's that? A desire to know what is floating. What is floating? Object. What is inside you? Desire. The fulfillment, contacting the desire, how it can happen? Through the consciousness, you can, with the powers of you can look at it, you can know that is an empty packet or a waste. You had that power. Desire could be fulfilled. But when you got entangled with the contamination of the evil, what happened? You lost the capability of identification of the desire, of the object, through the desire, which you had the desire. You had a desire, but that desire cannot be applied because the desire has already, instead of you applying that solution to the desire through the consciousness, you wanted to fulfill the desire through longingness and possession. And could never contact. You could never contact who? Your desire could never contact the object and fulfill it. So long that desire could not contact the object and fulfill the desire, till that time the desire remains. Keep on longing. So long the longingness comes and possessive, the mind is attached to that desire. When the mind is attached to that desire, mind with its own limitations, he can only create longingness and possession. Through possessiveness, mind would like to identify it is paper or not. By the time he lost the knowledge of identity of the object, so the desire is not fulfilled. Had you been conscious, had you been closer to Upasak, as an Upasak sitting by the side of the Guru, Upasana, the knowledge, you are constantly with the consciousness. The moment the desire arises, through that knowledge you will be able to fulfill them. The desire is evaporated in that fulfillment of the desire. Is what is called fulfillment. Once it is fulfilled, the desire is diluted. There is no more karma, longingness, or any of the next janma. Nothing comes on that. It becomes the consciousness. Next time when the floating comes, first thing that memory will come, that is a paper. It may not be. Fine. The desire what comes from the consciousness, the moment the desire comes, it will say that, oh, it's a paper. That means it is not useful for me. So instead of just wasting my time, let me analyze. It may be a paper, it may not be. So he will analyze it. Okay, it is a firewood. Fine. Desire is dissolved. Desire, by the time the desire is prompted from the consciousness, from the knowledge, it is dissolved into knowledge. What happened? Through the desire, he identifies the object as not useful for you to execute your karmas. It's a log, it's a paper, it is a firewood, it is this, it is that. Identify. The moment it is identified, desire is fulfilled. When desire is fulfilled, it vanished. Where it has become? It has gone into the consciousness. At one point of time, constantly practicing this desire, coming out of the consciousness and converting it into conscious knowledge and reverting back, at one point of time, the creation of desire itself gets absolutely frozen, because nothing more to know. No desire has become absolute. He is equivalent to the Purusha, the Ishvara, the God, the Lord, the Brahman, the Brahmajnani. Is why the Brahmajnani is not perturbed of any of the calamities. Delhi government has asked alternate numbers to be taken on the board. There is a chaos and calamity. How will I drive the car is a problem. Maharishi never thought of whether there is odd number or your odd numbers only. Is what he thinks. He is never perturbed of any of the actions that is happening. He is never perturbed of the calamities that is happening. He is never perturbed of the nature, creation and things that is happening, because he is aware of it. Why? Why? Because it's not that he does not know it's not a calamity. It is a calamity for the persons who doesn't know it is a fact. What is calamity? It's a fact. Tsunami is a fact. But for me it is a calamity. For you it's a calamity. Natural calamity we call it. Why it's a calamity? Because it's not unexpected by you. And it is destructive to the people. Whereas Rishi is concerned, because this repetition of the desire coming from the conscious and diluting and going back, he already knows there will be a flood, there will be a tsunami, there will be destruction of all these things in order to create this. It is no more destruction for him. It's a renovation for him. Why he should be get perturbed? He doesn't get perturbed. Who gets perturbed? Who doesn't know? Who is? That's why I said, you remember? That's why I said that after jumping and going with the longingness and contaminated with the evil, swimming across and somehow with all the current and flow and all your strength, you flow along with that and caught hold of that empty packet of unwanted paper and held it. You do not know what to do with it. Now I don't know, lost the consciousness. Why did I take this? What for did I take this? Now what should I do? This awareness was there when you were in the consciousness. Having the longingness, having the attachment and attraction to the object, having got attached and attracted to the object, having got diluted in the evil of the ignorance, you got the attachment. Once you got the attachment, once you got the attraction, and after having possessed and thinking that this will give me satisfaction and knowledge and the dissolution of the desire that has been created and get me into the previous position of the consciousness, is totally lost because I myself do not know. What is this for? Having possessed, you do not know what is for. What is this for? You got attracted, you got attached. For what? For what? It is for this only. Attachment and attraction and desires, moha, kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mother, matsarya is why you got the paper, and after having it, you do not know why am I having it. Now how to dispose this off? You do not know whether it is to be disposed, whether it is to be held, what to do. Externality is objective experience. The life is that. This is the life. Swimming across, taking the whole packet, don't know what to do. Simple words. You remember this? Analyze it, you will understand it. Now you elaborate each and every event of your life. Take it. You can compare with this. Then what to do? That's what Swamiji says. That's what Bhagavan says. That's what Maharishi says. Okay. Where am I? It's a very big chapter. I don't know, the more you tell, the more it is coming, That's why it's a big problem to explain. Anyway, let's go further. It has been explained in the earlier chapters, especially in the in the 7th chapter, that the absolute is the universal in its nature. That's the absolute. Absolute is the universal in its nature. It's not merely an individual subject. This is what I said. When I detach myself from there, whenever I get that longingness, I become an individual. Let me emphasize it. What's that individual? No, don't think individual. It's a very hard thing for mind to comprehend. Absolutely right. One's mind can never know what universality is, and therefore any amount of instructions given to it from this point of view would naturally go over one's head. I think this I have read. We are told that the present... okay, I'm sorry. Where I have gone back. So certainly I think I have already explained it. Yes. So we are talking about the Atman. Oh yeah, it is here. More we go deeper inward into our own self, the greater is the strength of our will, the greater the possibility of achieving success in obtaining anything that what we want. This is the meaning of Satya Kama or Satya Sankalpa. When our consciousness, will and thought functions are rooted in the truth, they should materialize themselves at once in the forms they are expected. when there is a consciousness, during the process of meditation, when the consciousness is there, even for Bhagavan Shiv, when it is going on, there will be a Satyakama. Satyakama means the desire in the truth, for the truth, developing the truth, knowing the truth, whatever you call it. Satyakama. The Kama of Satya, the Kama for Satya, the Kama from Satya, the Kama to Satya. Satyakama. Nothing other than that is Satyakama. Satyakama, as I told you, see, I told you in simple language. When you are in consciousness, you got a desire. What's that desire? Satyakama. It's Satyam. That Kama was Satyam. I want to know what is floating. Nothing wrong. Satyakama. Now that Satyakama, in order to dilute that Satyakama, sorry. Now that Kama has come from the Satya, for the Satya, being the Satya, Kama should fulfill the Satya. So to the Satya, same way, the desire has come from the consciousness, same thing. I have told Satya and Kama, consciousness and desire. Desire to fulfill the desire and dilute itself into the consciousness. Kama to dilute itself into Satya so that there is no more Kama. Even from the Satya Kama, the Kama should not be there. So Kama is a natural product of the constant Satya being evolved. Even then there can be a Kama. For the Satya is called Satya Kama. From the Satya, for the Satya, identification of Satya, this will create. So this Kama should fulfill. So desire should fulfill. So with Satya, if this Kama is closer to Satya, is Satya Kama. If closer to Satya, the Kama will identify the fulfillment of the Kama towards Satya through Satya only. He will not look for another source to solve its problem. Kama will solve its problem through Satya, not other way around. When it is solving the problem through Satya, the revelation of the Satya in the Kama is identified. The revelation of the Satya in the Kama. In Kama there is a Satya. When that Satya in the Kama is identified, Satya has been identified, in the Satya in the Kama has been identified, the Kama has diluted into the Satya because Satya has been identified. Satya has been identified through Satya. So the Kama is no more there. When the Kama is no more there, Satya is not there, Satya Kama is not there. Only Satya is there. Only Satya is there. The Kama or Satya Kama or Satya Kama is not there. That intention of doing it is called Satya Sankalpa. That part of execution is called Satya. Satya Kama is automatic. Nobody can prevent it. Through Satya Sankalpa, the Satya Kama is converted into Satya. Is what I told you, that when you had a desire, if you analyze it through the consciousness and say it is a paper bag, the desire is diluted into the consciousness, Kama is diluted into Satya, whereas if you try to analyze it through the other way, longingness, then only the evil comes. So the Satya Sankalpa is that Sankalpa, to utilize that Satya Sankalpa at that point of time, you should be stable, unwavering and stable in the Satya, nearer to the Satya or in the Satya at all times. Then only you can utilize the Satya Sankalpa to resolve the Satya Kama. Am I right? In order to be, when you are constantly with the Brahman, the desire or the Ichcha, let me call it as Ichcha. The Ichcha created from the Jnanam is identified through the Jnanam, that Ichcha Shakti will become the Jnana Shakti. Ichcha Shakti will become the Jnana Shakti. In the Jnana Shakti, it is automatic to have Ichcha. But Ichcha should be resolved through the Satya Sankalpa, through the Jnana, through the Brahma Jnanam. So what happens? The Ichcha is converted into, the Ichcha is diluted, not converted, sorry, it's the wrong word. Ichcha is diluted into Jnanam. So Ichcha Shakti becomes Jnana Shakti. Bhagavan Shiv, when maybe that, what is Asura? Bhasmasura or Banasura or Bhasmasura, XY Asura. This Mr. Asura had been meditating for long. Bhagavan decides to give him a boon. Maharishi Naradas Bhagavan भोलेनाथ, आप इतना भी भोला मत बनिए, कोई भी आएगा उसको, that fellow want to cheat you only. Narada says to Bhagavan, that fellow, his intentions are bad, he wants to cheat you only, and you are providing him with that boon, that astra, to cheat you. Narada doesn't know, right? Narada doesn't know who is he talking to. What happened? In his, who is Bhagavan? Bhagavan. Here, I am just telling an example. Bhagavan being Jnanam, having a tapasya done by somebody, in him, the Ichcha Shakti from the Jnanam has come. Somehow, this has to be eliminated. His way of doing it is different. This one who has got the evil sense, objective experiencer, has to be diluted, dissolved. It's like that. Oh, Diwali mein wo jo hota hai na, goes there and took, where is that gone? We all say, oh, and it is all falling. Some people from the ground, they move away because it's coming in there. It doesn't reach here. By the time it comes here, Bhagavan's idea is that he wants to do like that. So what happened? So Narada had a doubt why he is doing this. That's why Maharishi Yajnavalkya and he said, hey Narada, what you are thinking is only that you know it. You're not become the knowledge. Had you become the knowledge, as I told you here also, that how when you come out of it, come out of the center, all the dukkha and kashta is only because of the attachment with the externalities. After holding it, what to do? Dukkha, kashta, all that is only association with the externalities. Dukkha and kashta is all with the objective experiencing, wanting to do that, not allowing the conscious to function. So what happened? Bhagavan, okay, this exactly what I am talking to. So he decides to give the vara, boon to him. Gives the boon, the same boon what he wanted. He wants to oppose him. He wants to fight with him, or he wants to kill him, or whatever it is. That boon has been given. From where it has come? From that Ichcha Shakti has come. No. And when that Ichcha Shakti came, had he thought like Narada, that let me throw my Trishul, Bhagavan, it is like this. Trishul, finished. Let it be Banasura or Bhasmasura or any Asura for that matter. Simple. No? Jnanam. But what happened? He wanted to experience. He wanted to allow him to experience and then dissolve himself. So he gives the boon what he wants. Why? How he can give the boon what he wants? Of distracting him, the one who is a giver. How will anybody do that? Nobody will do it. But he knows what is he doing, is it not? How does he know that? He knows from the Jnana Shakti. Even though the Ichha Shakti has come from the Jnana Shakti, what he has done? He is giving that boon to him because he analyzed this Ichha Shakti through the Jnanam. Like I said, Satya Kama. Kama, working through the Satya, identifies the Satya in Kama and dissolves Kama. Same way. Bhagavan identifies the Ichha in him. So through his Ichha, this Ichha Shakti, that which has come in Bhagavan, he directed it through the Jnanam and identified what is to be done so that Ichha is dissolved into the Jnanam. He became the Jnanam again. Now by dissolving it, what happened? Satya Sankalpa has taken. So a Jnana Sankalpam has been taken. Here the words are only different. So here it is Jnana Sankalpa. How he has derived it? Through the function of the Jnana Sankalpa, he dissolved the Ichha Shakti in the Ichha, in the Jnanam, and dissolved it as a, and converted into, or dissolved into Jnanam. Same way, that Ichha is that through Kama Sankalpa or the Jnana Sankalpa. Through Jnana Sankalpa, when he started analyzing, in Jnana Sankalpa it has been seen that there is a perception which is known as externality, which is totally ignorance. That ignorance has to be dissolved through a process so that the Ichha Shakti in him is totally dissolved into the total Jnanam. So, based on that, he gives him the same advice or the boon, and with that, that will be the boon, the cause of the death of that Asura. Have you seen that? Whichever boon an Asura has taken, that boon is the cause of his death. Becomes the cause of his death. So he gives that cause of his desire is given to him. When the cause is given to him, his destruction is, by the time he gave the blessing, as far as Bhagavan is concerned, he is no more. Because action has been taken. The chairman has dismissed an official. The moment he signed, he might have signed it on Friday afternoon. Paper. The moment he signed the paper in the afternoon, Friday afternoon, as far as he is concerned, that official is dismissed or discharged from his duties. Even though the paper being Saturday, Sunday being holiday is delivered only on Monday morning. As far as the individual is concerned, he is dismissed only on Monday, but whereas the chairman is concerned, he is dismissed on Friday afternoon. Am I right? Bhagavan, the moment he has taken a decision, that fellow is already dead. What happened? From the Ichha Shakti, from the Jnanam, through, when it is identified through the Jnanam, the Ichha has converted into Jnana Shakti, and he has forgotten about God. Then you ask him, who is this Bhasmasura? Which Bhasmasura? I don't know any Bhasmasura, because he has become already Bhasma as far as he is concerned. You are getting it? What I am trying to tell you is that how to dissolve your own desires. It has to be through Upanishadic studies. It has to be through spirituality. It has to be through the teachings of the Jnanam Guru and the Jnanam and the Brahma Jnanam in the right way. As I told you, there are so many. Why did I tell all those things? Music and this, that, and all that. You will find today in this Kali Yuga, you will find thousands of distractions in many ways, and it is difficult for a normal man. I don't blame him because he doesn't know. It is difficult for him to understand, so he can get through longingness. So once you work through longingness, you will get into that packet. You have to work through it. This is the truth. All other things are only temporary, materialistic actions, and every action that you do has got an equivalent opposite reaction. And in order to remove unless the action is removed, none of these things can be removed. So long the action remains, everything will remain as it is going on in the materialistic world. So the action to be removed is that it has to be dissolved at the desire level, in the sense through the jnanam, and get it dissolved. And this has to be the status when is known as self-realization, not the identifying he as he and she as she and that as that and this as this is not self-realization. I told you earlier also, the Brahman, Sarva Vyapi, Sarva Brahma, Sarvam Kalvidam, Brahmam. Second para. And we will continue. We'll continue from page number 204, third paragraph.